Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Seth.
And I'm Zach.
And we are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are the Classic Gaming we are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. What did you even say?
I don't know. I almost said we're the Classic Gaming Bluthers.
Bluthers. We're the bluthering and bluthering.
Bluthers and bluthers.
What is a bluther?
Bluther is an obsolete form of the word blather, according to Wiktionary. It's also the name of an indie game on itch.io, apparently.
Oh, that was useful.
Yeah. Did you learn something new?
No.
No, arguably, you did learn something new. You just didn't learn something useful.
No. Let me tell you the story about learning something. When you learn something, you generally retain it for later.
Oh, okay. So do you not remember what I just said?
What you just told me will be gone in a few moments.
That's fair.
And so I won't remember what Blethering will be about, and you'll have to look it up again, possibly in 100 episodes.
Maybe. I'm probably not going to.
Because you won't remember either.
Yeah, that's actually true. I won't remember, and when this joke comes up again in 100 episodes, who knows, maybe we'll take it differently. Maybe Bluther will be someone, like in the future. Maybe that will be an important person with the last name Bluther 100 episodes from now. Anyway, Seth, what have you been recently playing?
Recently I've been playing There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension, which was developed and published by Draw Me a Pixel. It's a game that tries to convince you that it is not a game. And you have to get through these various different puzzles by interacting with perhaps the logo of the game or interacting with the various different intro, they have some screens with flags on it to determine what your language is, and you can interact with that screen. And you're generally trying to get through a door, and there's a narrator who talks to you. I've gotten to the part of the game where I've journeyed past the first chapter, as it were, and have moved on to the second chapter, where there is now 3 narrators. So there was originally one narrator who would be like, stop doing this, and just he'd be like, quit the game, and this is not a game, blah blah blah. And now there's 3 narrators, one who's Indian, one who is Russian, and then one who is the narrator that started in the game with you. And he's confused, and they're all confused why there's a bunch of narrators while you're trying to still puzzle through the game. It's pretty fun. It's definitely a fun game if you enjoy puzzles. It's very funny. It's got some good humor. I laughed a couple of times, and it's generally something I don't do when playing video games, so it was pretty funny with some of the things that happened. So yeah, so you just go through and you click on stuff and you solve puzzles, and that's There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension.
Fun.
Zach.
Yes, Seth.
What have you recently been playing?
Seth, recently I've been playing a game that I talked about before. I actually talked about it back when we did our episode on the 3 different Sonic the Hedgehog television shows, but at the time I was playing it as a demo. Currently the game is in open access. It was officially released, and that game is Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate. Developed by John Szymanski, Evan Szymanski, and David Szymanski, the Szymanskis if you would. Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate was officially released on March of 2005, and it is a third-person adventure game themed off of the original Harry Potter games for the PC, specifically the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets games for the PC. You play as Wizard Boy, who attends wizard school, and while at school, you receive a letter from MI6 that tells you that Professor Grumblemort is actually the leader of Spider, a criminal syndicate who is committing terror across the world. MI6 instructs you to find out the secret of Wizard School and Grumblemort, so you must go undercover. You explore a school that is definitely not themed on a famous IP, and you collect various spells, and you also collect biscuits that you can use as currency, and you can use your spells however you feel. You can cast them on students, you can cast them on objects. It is a wild, chaotic game. Basically, you have to find the secret within a 7-day time period. If your character dies, if something happens, it goes to the next day. So if Monday you start out, you're doing well, maybe you're collecting some items, and then you fall down a hole and you break your legs, which can happen. It will go to Tuesday. So that's the idea, is you want to try to get all the secrets and uncover the mystery by the last day. And there are some people who will hamper your ability to find this mystery because there are some secret agents who are counterintelligence that are working against you, and they will stop you from going into certain rooms. It is a very goofy game. It is programmed in Unreal, I believe, so which is fitting because the original games were Unreal, and it just feels like a certain type of game that just like we just don't have anymore, right? Like the old Chamber of Secrets games, it's just a style of game that they don't do anymore. It's also multiplayer, so if you have friends who have the game, you can play it with friends. Your friends can either help you or hinder you. Let me say, there are fun ragdoll physics, so if you blow something up, everything will fly everywhere. And also, there are fire physics, so sometimes you will catch an entire room on fire and the fire will spread. It's good though. I like it. It's a very silly game, and if you're a fan of those old Harry Potter games, I definitely recommend checking it out.
I think we've at least seen these developers at PAX.
Yeah, so David Szymanski, who is considered the publisher, was involved in Dusk and Iron Lung, and My Friendly Neighborhood, which we did see at PAX. And if they're at PAX this year, I would be excited to maybe score some Secret Agent Wizard Boy merch. Well, today we're getting into a topic. We're talking about a video game that is still relatively popular, so it's a bit odd for us, I think, to talk about it. But by definition, this game is considered classic because when we started this podcast, I believe we said that for us, a classic game is at least 10 years old. And this game is 16 years old.
Nice.
So it fits our definition, which is arbitrary, but that doesn't matter because we decide what we talk about. We're talking about Minecraft. That's right, the popular IP, Minecraft. Everyone knows it, everyone loves it, but let's talk about its history. Before we do, though, we can talk a bit about our memories. Seth, I don't think you have any memories of Minecraft, but I can't speak for you.
Oh, you can't speak to my core memories of Minecraft. Going and building all of the dungeons and fortresses. I will be honest to our listeners. I've played Minecraft. I wouldn't say that I've played it with any semblance of leaving any lasting memories. I've probably also watched people play Minecraft more than played it myself, and that's through watching like YouTube clips of people playing Minecraft. So like I'm aware of the game. I've played games similar to Minecraft, and I've played a bit of Minecraft, but I didn't really get into it at any point in time.
Yeah, so kind of the opposite for me. I got into Minecraft back when it was still in beta stages. Actually, it might have even been in alpha, which was around 2010, I want to say. So the way I remember being introduced to Minecraft is I was in an English class with my friend David, and David was playing Minecraft on his laptop just before the class started. And I said, that game looks a lot of fun. What's that game? And he said, it's Minecraft. And I said, cool. And he said, it's multiplayer if you ever want to play. And I said, even cooler. And I ended up going home and like buying it that night. It was $6, I think, when I bought it because they used to be pretty cheap to get. And I played a lot, and I actually still play a lot. But I have memories of going on old servers where like I had to have my render fog turned up so I could like actually play the game because the game ran so badly. Me and my friends would do like, we'd set up our laptops in my friend's basement. We'd all like jack into their internet, and then we would play Minecraft. Like Minecraft and Left 4 Dead 2 was our go-to. That was our LAN party. And we would go on to things like the Face Punch server, or my friends and I used to go on to Midgard, which was a popular server for a bit. There was another server called Rainbow that I used to go on, but I think I talked about it when we did our multiplayer versus single player. I have these memories of like mapping out a plan for a building on one of the servers that I would visit, like on graph paper. Like I was like really dedicated to building some of these things. And it was just a fun experience. It is kind of a world that you can really explore, and you always find something new, is what I say. But to get into the actual history of Minecraft, as mentioned, it may seem a bit odd for us to talk about it, but it is 16 years old, and Minecraft started life back when Marcus Persson was working at a game studio. The game studio at the time was called Midas Player, which people might know better now as King. King is the Candy Crush company. So if you are a fan of Candy Crush, that's King. Persson, or as everyone knows him as, Notch, was born in Stockholm, Sweden in 1979. He developed an interest in video games at an early age, largely thanks to his father, who had an interest in technology. Notch would often play bootleg video games on his family's Commodore 128. He also had an interest in programming, even creating text-based adventure games at only 8 years old. Notch wanted to pursue game development, but on the advice of some teachers, he ended up going to study graphic design. He would end up leaving college and would start work in a web design company in early 2000. And one of his earliest jobs was at a company called Game Federation. He would meet Rolf Jansen at Game Federation, and together they created something called Worm Online, Worm spelled W-U-R-M, a sandbox MMO set in a medieval world that they released in 2006. And Notch would be working for Midas Player, or King, until about the year 2009, and during this time he started to gain interest in developing a new project. One of these projects would be Ruby Dung, an isometric-based building game that was inspired by Roller Coaster Tycoon and Dwarf Fortress. Now, Notch's game Ruby Dung has a lot of similarities to what would become Minecraft, besides being isometric, though he did want to include a first-person mode, though opted against it due to the graphics being too pixelated. Another source of inspiration for Ruby Dung would be Infiniminer, an open-source multiplayer block-based sandbox game developed by Zachtronics. So Notch would end up releasing Ruby Dung, and he would revise it with some new ideas as he got feedback, and eventually these new ideas evolved into what became Minecraft. Minecraft was developed in JavaScript and would go on through some early forms before it would evolve into what would actually be released in 2010 as its alpha version. Some of these really early phases, though, from 2009 until 2010, would be called Survival Test, In-Dev, and Inf-Dev. These different phases describe what they were testing. They tested survival, they tested the inventory and crafting system, and they tested the map's infinite generation. Minecraft's release would be under a new company founded by Notch called Mojang Specifications, which he would later call Mojang AB.
With the game now in alpha state and released to the public, it began to gain popularity. Notch would release test builds on a frequent basis, adding monsters called mobs, a new dimension to explore, different tools, and various new features. Multiplayer was also available fairly early on, being added in May of 2009. Multiplayer servers are typically player-hosted and run. At the time, there was little to no content moderation in terms of what would exist on a server, meaning early Minecraft definitely relied on players to self-police when necessary from anything.
Like, there was no profanity filters. You could build whatever you wanted. There was a lot of what were called, like, I think they were called chaos servers, where you just log in and there would be like lava pillars surrounding you on the server base, and like structures made of, like, I don't know, sponges and stuff, like ridiculous things.
Now in 2011, Minecraft would release its Adventure Update, putting the game officially out of its alpha state and being released as version 1.0. At this time, Notch would hand the project over to Mojang staff member Jans Bergenstein, known as Jeb. Jeb would take control as the lead designer and creative lead, becoming heavily involved in the changes to the game from that point forward. Another release in 2011 would be Minecraft Pocket Edition, a port of the game written in C++ due to the lack of Java support on the iOS. Pocket Edition played similarly to the computer version, but with some differences initially in that the game lacked a variety of features the PC version had due to technical limitations. One thing that immediately became apparent was that Minecraft was going to be a cultural phenomenon. We'll break down the numbers more in depth later, but right out of the gate, the game was doing very well. This was in large part due to the very active modding scene that immediately picked up. Mods ran from adding Pokemon to the game to being able to develop functional nuclear reactors. Some modders would be hired onto the team and help improve things like the redstone in the game. Redstone, for those unfamiliar, can function as a simple wiring for different devices. Some individuals like YouTuber Seth Bling had recreated a functional Atari emulator using redstone circuitry and zero mods, though the emulator operates at 1 frames per second, so slow. Other people had made functional 8-bit computers and calculators simply thanks to the way redstone logic can imitate binary sequences, because the way that it works with anything is if you can get a 1 and a 0, you can have a binary. Once you get a binary, you can build a computer. You need some logic gates and some decision trees, but eventually you can just build your own computer. YouTube itself would help spread Minecraft around like wildfire, crossfire with Let's Play style videos becoming more and more popular. Creators like Sky Does Minecraft, Markiplier, and Captain Sparkles soon became household names and thus bringing further attention to the game. In 2014, Notch would officially leave Mojang after the acquisition of Mojang by Microsoft for $2.5 billion. And that's billion with a B, which if Mojang was a small private company at the time of the acquisition by Microsoft, small being, not a enterprise company, then that $2.5 billion went into a lot of people's pockets.
And just to indicate how quickly Minecraft gained popularity, its official 1.0 was in 2011. It was purchased by Microsoft for $2.5 billion 3 years later.
Right. And Microsoft is still making money on it.
Oh yeah, a ton.
In more recent years, Notch has caused some controversy due to some of his statements on the internet. In the years since, he has often spread anti-LGBTQ opinions, anti-feminist views, and has promoted both Pizzagate and QAnon. Microsoft, who currently owns Mojang, would remove any references to Notch and refused to invite him to the 10th anniversary celebration.
Now, gameplay and story-wise, you'd be surprised to hear that Minecraft has a story, but there is kind of one. In terms of its gameplay, though, in Minecraft, you play as you. You play as yourself. If you don't set a character model in the game, which you can make custom character skins, you will appear as a scruffy-looking guy wearing a blue shirt and jeans who has the given name of Steve. In recent years, there is also a female displaying default character named Alex who is added in. So you could either play as Steve or Alex. And now there's some other default characters you can pick from as well. When you spawn into a new world, the game will procedurally generate the environment around you. The world is filled with trees, mountains, different biomes, ores, caves, dungeons, and of course, monsters. The monsters and animals you encounter, as Seth mentioned, are called mobs. They can be passive, hostile, or friendly. So a passive mob might be like an Enderman. With Endermen, they are considered passive because they only become aggressive when you look at them and look away, or if you attack them. If you leave them alone, they don't do anything. Another passive mob might be considered a spider. Unless it's nighttime, then it is a hostile mob. A friendly mob would be like a cow or a chicken. They will never hurt you. You may also encounter villages. The villages are home to villagers who you can trade with, and they have their own logic for trading. If you trade with certain villagers, the villagers will talk to each other, and those villagers will adjust their prices accordingly. For example, in a game I've been playing with my friends recently, we have a lot of villagers who buy clay. So if I bring a lot of stacks of clay to the villagers, and they'll buy 10 balls of clay for 1 emerald, then all of a sudden they will jack up their prices if I'm selling a bunch of clay to them, and it will be 15 clay for 1 emerald. They're like, this guy, he's not running us out of business. There's also enemy villagers, a rival group called the Illagers, who will attack you and you can encounter throughout the game. But in reality, the path is yours. You can build a house, you can grow a farm, you can breed animals, you can mine, or you can just go adventuring. Some of the monsters you encounter include zombies, spiders, skeletons, or famously the creeper. The creeper is kind of the default, I would say, mascot of Minecraft. It is the symbol used for Minecraft is often just the face of the creeper, and it's a green grass textured monster that will explode if it gets close to you. There's also a tall teleporting enemy called the Enderman, who I just referenced. The Enderman will steal blocks, and if you anger him, he'll hit you. Items can also be crafted into things. So for example, if you collect wood, you can use that wood to craft sticks. Sticks and stone can make a pickaxe, and a pickaxe can be used to collect iron, which you can smelt in a furnace that you make out of rocks. Iron ingots can then be used to make iron weapons or iron pickaxes, and so on and so on. There are also, I would say, objectives in Minecraft. You don't need to complete these objectives, but they are objectives nonetheless. In the modern version of the game, this objective is often representative by the achievement you unlock. So for example, the first objective you probably will earn in the game is if you punch a tree, it will give you a block of wood, and you will get the punch a tree gives me wood achievement. There's also find diamonds for the first time. That's probably everyone's go-to first objective. With diamonds, you can harvest obsidian, which you can only break with diamond pickaxes. If you get obsidian, you can use the obsidian to go into the nether by building a nether portal. And when you enter the nether, it's a whole different dimension of lava and hostile environments with its own army of monsters to encounter. The nether is home to piglins, who are a gold-obsessed race of pig creatures. They'll attack you on sight unless you wear gold armor. There's also the wither skeletons, who are these dark skeletons that will drop their heads on a rare occasion. There are zombie pigmen, and there are ghasts, which are big white creatures that shoot fireballs at you and cry.
In your travels, you may stumble across a fortress buried deep underground. This will contain a portal that you can activate by killing creatures called Endermen. From there, you can enter the End, where you fight a massive dragon. After killing the dragon, you'll get a credit sequence, but if you return to the End, you'll find a whole new area to explore and new items to find. There are also trial dungeons where you can challenge yourself against waves of monsters or environmental traps. You gain experience as you play through the various activities, and this experience can be spent by crafting an enchantment table, which can be used to level up your gear. Gear, also important to note, has durability, but there are enchantments to extend the life of any equipment you have if you are willing to pay the price. What it boils down to is the world is quite literally yours to shape and craft. In fact, it might even be mine to craft. Let's talk about the numbers and how well the game did. Within a month of entering beta in early 2011, Minecraft managed to sell over 8 million copies. Bear in mind, this was entirely by word of mouth, as Mahjong had no money to advertise the game commercially at the time. When the game was released as 1.0 in November of 2011, there were already 16 million registered users and 4 million game purchases. By October 2014, 17 million copies would sell on PC, and by 2019, 180 million copies had been sold. And as of 2023, the game has sold upwards to 300 million copies, which is almost, I believe, the population of the US.
It is almost the population of the US. US is 340 million.
Nice. I'm pretty good with my quick geographical facts. It also reviews very well, with PC Gamer giving it a 96 out of 100, and Game Informer giving it a 9.25 out of 10, and Edge giving it a 9 out of 10. Reviews praised the freedom, the colorful graphics, the mechanics, and just how easy it was to get into. Some of the very few critiques boil down to just how annoying it is to set up a multiplayer server, or at least it was at the time of the review back in 2011. I don't know if it's still annoying to set up a Minecraft server.
It's slightly easier from my memory. It's not intuitive, so you do have to probably follow like a guide. But they make it easier to play with friends, at least. You know, there are ways around just setting up a server. If you have, we'll talk a bit about it, but there's a version of Minecraft that you can get for Windows 11, and it's also the same version that's on Xbox and PS4, and you can literally just join your friend's game if they're online. But if you want to do Java mode and set up a server, there is a bit more steps involved. Though there's so many resources, like you can rent server space for a Minecraft server for like, $6 a month or something. Like if you desperately want to play Minecraft with your friends, and even if you want to do like a modded Minecraft server, you can just buy server space. You don't even need to run the server anymore. Most of my friends do that. They'll just like rent a server for like a couple of months.
Needless to say, Minecraft has become something that is ubiquitous and part of our cultural zeitgeist. It has spawned fan-made animations, published unauthorized books, authorized books, toys, clothes, and much, much more. There have even been various clones that have tried to capitalize on the success, such as Block World 3D, Fortress Craft, and even Terraria. I feel like Terraria is probably one of the more successful ones.
I think Terraria is far more than a Minecraft clone now than it was when it was first released.
Yeah, and also Terraria has always been like a 2D version of Minecraft.
Yeah, that's like how it was sold.
I feel like Block World 3D and Fortress Craft are trying to really go after the Minecraft copy, especially when you have like block or craft in your name. They feel like the success of Minecraft is coming from the blocks and the crafting.
Yeah.
Where Terraria kind of understood the concept of Minecraft and built a world that people like it independently of Minecraft.
Yeah, Fortress Craft, I think I even used stolen assets at one point.
In 2024, the AI companies Descartes and Etched released Oasis, which is a proof of concept AI-generated version of Minecraft where elements of the game are generated in real time.
Yeah, I tried Oasis once. I'm not super into AI, but I tried it because I was like, this sounds interesting. It was, when I tried it, a buggy mess, but it was interesting nonetheless. You could like walk forward and you can break a block, but what would happen is the moment you looked away, the AI would hallucinate and it would just put you somewhere else. You'd like walk into a cave and you'd turn around and all of a sudden you were just outside again and you turn around and the cave's gone. It's like, oh, okay. Now, Minecraft has also inspired various horror and other YouTube content, most of it based on a popular urban legend surrounding the mysterious entity known as Herobrine, which I think we talked about back in our horror Halloween episode a while ago. We did a Halloween episode 2 or 3 years ago where we talked about video game related urban legends, and one of them I believe was Herobrine. But if you're not familiar with the Herobrine story, I'm just going to quickly sum it up. The story comes from a 4chan text post where it talks about exploring Minecraft late at night with your render distance all the way down. It's very much a product of 2011, and seeing something in the distance, never quite knowing what it is. Could it be a mob? Could it be, just a tree or something? And then coming across maybe objects you don't remember placing down, or structures you don't remember building, or, one by one holes in the ground that you don't remember digging, and then seeing him with his white eyes staring at you, Herobrine. And it's literally just the Steve, generic Minecraft skin, but with white eyes. And there is a little more to this urban legend that I love. And the little more is that someone is like, yes, Herobrine. I remember hearing about this. I believe it's Notch's dead brother who is haunting Minecraft. And this got to the point where Notch had to make a statement being like, I don't have a brother. I've never had a brother. So Herobrine probably doesn't exist, but Mojang does like to poke fun at it. And for a while, every one of their updates said removed Herobrine. Now, there have also been some spin-off titles such as Minecraft Story Mode by Telltale Games, which was also released via Netflix through that thing where they did it with Bandersnatch, where you could interact with the show. There is also an augmented reality game called Minecraft Earth, a Diablo inspired dungeon crawler called Minecraft Dungeons, and an action real-time strategy game called Minecraft Legends. Minecraft itself continues to be updated. New patches come out on a pretty regular basis, making various quality of life changes or introducing new mobs or locations. There are also 2 major versions of the game currently available. I alluded to this just a moment ago. Bedrock Edition and Java Edition. Java Edition is essentially OG Minecraft. It is the Java version of the game with all of the updates they've made, but it is the version of that is Minecraft. It's the Minecraft you would have gotten is the Java version. Bedrock Edition is a C++ recreated version based on Minecraft Pocket Edition that they then ported to console and then to PC. So it is cross-platform with PC and console. So if you have Minecraft on your PS5, you could play Minecraft through Bedrock Edition on your PC with your friends at the same time. And Bedrock Edition is considered now the default version of Minecraft. They still support Java Edition, but they really try to promote Bedrock because of the cross-platform capability, which you can't do with Java Edition because Java is not available on most things. Both versions of the game, though, basically play the same. For a while, Java was kind of, unique. I would say it was a little worse to play. You often had to get a mod to just optimize it to run fine. There was the mod to go to was Optifine, which just made the game run a little better. Bedrock tends to play better because it is in C++ and is made to run fine on any platform. Java, though, is a bit easier to mod. Bedrock is a bit more reliant on pay for content type of stuff. So if you want special textures in the game, you often have to pay $1.99 for the custom texture set you want. Whereas with Java, you pretty much just dump stuff into a file and it's good to go. In any case, Minecraft is largely popular, hugely successful, technically classifies as a classic game. And on April 4th of this year, literally 2 days before the release of this episode, the Minecraft movie made its debut in theaters starring Jack Black as Steve. Did it do well? Who knows? But I can promise you this. By the release of this episode, I would would have seen it. Maybe future editing Zach from Saturday will splice in his brief Minecraft review right here. Hey, past Seth and past Zach. This is future Zach coming in to tell you about the Minecraft movie. So I saw the Minecraft movie on Friday, April 4th, 2025 with some friends, and it was an interesting experience. I will tell you that I think the audience interaction with the movie was probably the best part about the movie. The audience just went buck wild during certain scenes, and I'll include a clip just to kind of show you what this reaction was like.
Who are you?
I'm Steve.
Crazy, right? That was the whole movie. Like, people were just cheering for different jokes. The audience was totally in on it. It was a like Rocky Horror Picture Show moment. But the movie itself was relatively mediocre. It's got some funny moments, I think. Some of the jokes are kind of humorous, and I think the writing is really tight for certain characters. Jason Momoa in particular, I think, does a great job in his role, and I think he's got some of the best lines out of any of the characters. Overall, however, I think the movie is relatively mediocre, but it certainly isn't as bad as I think people were expecting it to be, nor as bad as I was expecting it to be. So that's my review. All right, let's get back to the episode. Wow. Past Zach here again, telling future Zach, thank you so much for your in-depth review. It was really amazing to hear your thoughts. I wish we could talk about the future, but I know that's not how time works. Anyway, that will do it for our Minecraft episode.
You didn't even give me a chance to talk to future Seth.
Oh,
do
you want to talk to I don't know. Do you want to talk to future Seth?
I didn't see the Minecraft movie, so he doesn't have any opinions to release.
I didn't think so. Well, that will do it to cover Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft has a decent history for a game that has been out for 16 years. It's gone through a lot of changes over the years, and it's very nostalgic for, I think, people in my generation. Really, people who were going through like middle school and high school in the 2000s, late 2000s, 2010, 2011, when Minecraft was actually picking up. That was when I got into it. That was when most of my friends got into it, and most of the people I know who are still into it are people from that generation. I think there is still some younger audience who plays Minecraft, but I don't know how popular it is, to be honest. Like, I don't have that gauge anymore. I don't necessarily see as much Minecraft merchandise as I used to see, but I'm just not looking. Anyway, to get into our retro rewind, Seth had me play Secret of Evermore. Released in 1995 by Square, Secret of Evermore is an action RPG. It feels a lot like Secret of Mana, has a similar combat system, and a little bit similar art style, but it is not considered part of the Secret of Mana series. It's also rather unique in that it is a action RPG by Square that was pretty much designed for the North American audience, and it did not get a Japanese release, and it sure feels American. The game starts out with a flashback sequence to 1965 in the town of Podunk, USA, and a scientist builds a device that explodes, and then 30 years later, a young kid who is dressed identically to Marty McFly leaves a movie theater with his dog, and his dog chases after a cat and ends up in the abandoned lab, and the boy follows. The machine reactivates, the dog turns into a giant wolf, and then they get sent to a place called Evermore. And Evermore is a secret dimension that is split between different time periods based on real world, past, and future time. You have Prehistoria, based on prehistoric ages with dinosaurs. You have Antiquia, which is more medieval. You have Gothica, which is kind of more gothic. And you have Omnitopia, which is supposed to be the future. The Secret of Evermore is a really fun game. I really liked it. I really like the combat. I'm a big fan of the Secret of Mana games. So it was kind of fun to play Secret of Evermore. It feels kind of like a twist on Secret of Mana, where instead of having fantasy weapons, one of the first weapons you get is a bazooka. And if you try to use the bazooka when it doesn't have any ammo, you just use the bazooka as a weapon. You just punch people with it. You hit them over the head with it.
It is what all bazookas are also, bats.
Yeah, it's just a big metal pole with a hole in it. It's just a fun game. I really enjoyed it. I like the combat system. The music was really nice, really relaxing. It's kind of like an ambient music, which is fun to listen to. Overall, though, I think Secret of Evermore does hold up. Next week, Seth, you can play Sequest DSV for the Super Nintendo.
Perfect. I will do so. Zach had me play Space Harrier, which was released back in 1985 for the arcade, and that's what I played it on. Well, an emulated arcade. Developed and published by Sega. Space Harrier is a third-person action rail shooter that would go on to get ported to multiple systems, and by multiple, I mean 20 systems. They would even remaster it for the PS2 back in 2003. Sega loves Space Harrier. Everybody loves Space Harrier. Space Harrier is a great game. You play as a flying guy with a gun, and you just blast enemies as they come forward on the screen. It's frenetic. It's great. It's got amazing graphics, especially for the time. It's just it's Space Harrier. What more do you need me to say? It's a great game. If you want to just enjoy it's not a shoot 'em up, but it kind of feels like a shoot 'em up. Just instead of you seeing it from the side, you're seeing it coming at you. So if you want to experience a shoot 'em up, but having all the enemies flying at you instead of flying in front of you, I guess, check out Space Harrier. Or one of the sequels like Space Harrier 2. They're all very good games, and they're great, and there's other Space Harrier-like clones out there. So it definitely holds up. Next week, Zach, you can play Comic Zone with a X instead of a C.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. If you have any memories of playing Minecraft back in the old days of pre-alpha or beta or even 1.0 before all the other stuff got added, let us know. You can email us at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. We're available wherever podcasts can be found, be it Podbean, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. You can let us know via social media at all. I mean, we're available wherever social media is as Classic Gaming Brothers or CG Brothers Pod. So find us there. You can also find us on YouTube, Classic Gaming Brothers, and of course you can find us on our website, classicgamingbrothers.com. Seth, that's all I have. Am I forgetting anything?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's
right.
Right.